Hey guys, are you new to D&D, or maybe you're seasoned adventurers, and you're just curious to see what your favorite characters would be in the world of Dungeons and Dragons? Well, stick around and find out on Myth and Method.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Myth and Method, titled Gather Your Party. Today we're going to be going over some tips and tricks on creating your characters, and even taking a little bit of an in-depth look at some of the DM side of things, as we both have DM'd before. So I'll tell you what, let's begin. Like whenever you're creating a character, what do you use as your inspiration?
Well, I've been accused of, what do you call it?
I call you a meta player.
A meta player, min-maxing, or whatever. What's the world? Is like my first, I like to try to know the setting, so then I can try to imagine a character, and then it's just whatever inspiration comes to mind, or what I feel like doing. Mm-hmm. You know me. I'm partial to the martial classes.
Oh, the martial classes being more like melee range, using swords, shields, even fists if you go with a monk class. Whereas I kind of tend to go towards spellcasters. I just like the versatility of them, though. Like you can have a spellcaster do almost anything, or at least be able to help a martial class.
It just makes me mad that we've had this conversation before. Like, why can't I cast Fireball and punch someone in the face as a wizard?
You technically can. It's just you spent most of your days lifting books instead of weights.
Well, then throw books at people. Or use your wand. I don't know. Whatever they call it.
There's actually spells for you to do that. I believe one is called Catapult, which you can use. I forget the weight size, but you could take something small, let's say one of these books here, and using Catapult, use it as a projectile weapon. So basically anything you see, and that is what is called a cantrip. So with cantrips, you can kind of cast them whenever you see fit outside of a combat. And so with that being said, you can just pick up a rock off the ground and just with whatever cast you decide to send, throw that rock at somebody and use it as bludgeoning damage. So rather than having to fight with your fists, which is not a good idea for most wizards, you're able to use the environment around you, which, like I said, really makes them versatile, because then you can use... you could pick up a blade off the ground with that and throw it if it's the size that you need. But whenever it comes to, really picking your class, what do you look at? Just whatever inspiration comes to you first in that world? Or is it something like, oh wow, it would be really cool if I could be this in that world?
I typically go, usually for the first thing that pops in my interesting things. I like to try to play characters that are interesting to me and have interesting backstories. And when I build a character, I like to look at what's their arc. I like to get that ahead of time, and then I work backwards from there. Where most people build the character and then they discover the arc as they play the game. I like to already have an idea of what the arc will be, and I build backwards from that.
I see.
And typically with the people we typically play towards, there needs to be a frontline person that can kind of take all the damage.
True.
So I usually typically go for that. One, because there's just too many spells. I don't feel like keeping up with it. I don't feel like dealing with it. I don't feel like being like, oh, I only got 2 more spell slots. Punching you in the face is free.
So from this, what we can gather is, as far as Justin is concerned, that you build from your backstory backwards. Personally, I like to have... you want to get with your DM, see what the theme of the whole world is, and interestingly enough, just finding that niche that you would want to be in that world, whether it be a frontline fighter, you could be a tank, a DPS, a healer, you could be that kind of technical player, you could be a support character. It really just depends on what you feel like being to the party, but not necessarily what you have to stick with. So as far as character building, first thing you want to do is get with your DM, find the theme, and then build backwards from that theme what you would want to be in that world. And then once you find kind of an idea of like who your person would be, then build the character around who you would be. So in that instance, let's say one of your characters...
I do recommend, though, not getting too specific on things. Like, I am from this place, I did this thing, I did this thing.
So with that, what he's trying to say is with your backstory, if you come up with a backstory, it's not always necessary. You want to leave some details kind of vague to allow the DM to build upon your story and kind of expand out from it. Let's say with the standard backstory of my character lost both parents in a fire that we don't know how it was caused, something to that effect. If you go in and put too much detail into it, something even that your character might not know, then it doesn't allow the DM to integrate it very well. So when coming up with your backstory, leave some things kind of vague as if your character doesn't really know the answer, and allow the DM to kind of add those in himself, and it'll really kind of help with the immersion of the story.
See, for me, a backstory is almost the important part, the most important part.
Well, it is,
because I have a hard time, like, I have to use, granted, it's like nerd alert or whatever, but it's like, if I don't have that backstory, it's like, what is my motivation? Why am I making these decisions?
And it's to each their own, but then you have some players that are new to it that really don't know how to do a backstory. And so going with that, if you just have an idea and tell the DM, look, I am not sure, I just want to play this in this world.
Which we may have a solution for that coming soon.
The player can get with the DM, and the DM can kind of, okay, you woke up in amnesia somewhere. Like, the DM can write in almost anything at that point as open as you leave your backstory. That allows the DM to be creative with it and kind of tell your story to you and allow you to play through that. So let's say once we have a backstory or no backstory, depending on how you're playing, picking a class. Like, how would you go through and pick your class depending on how your backstory goes? If you're looking at somebody that, let's say, like I said, they grew up in a house fire, parents were dead, and they grew up in an orphanage. How do you pull a class from that?
See, with that one, I'd probably go rogue.
Now, what makes you think rogue whenever it comes to something?
Because typically rogues, the cliche or whatever stereotype about them is, one, they're criminals. But not always, but typically. And usually those typically have the backgrounds of orphanage, had no one, grew up in the streets. So you develop those connections. You develop the, I know a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and with that, it's easier for me to do the whole, okay, well, I'm a Robin Hood, or I am solo, I go about this by myself, I don't need no one because I never had anyone.
Mm. So essentially what you're getting at is with whatever backstory you have or don't have, there's an archetype that fits into those classes. And even if you don't want to play the one that seems to fit, let's say with the rogue, for instance, I want to be a fighter, but you're not sure how to integrate that into your backstory, you can always get with your DM. That is the key to most of the issues with anything as far as character building, is get with your DM and see what they will or will not allow, or even how they can help you write in your character to the story. If you really, really want to play, but you're not really sure how to create that original character, or you need some help with it, you can get with the DM and he can kind of give you pointers, or you can even get with the other players, see what they're building, and if you prefer to just kind of fit in that little keyhole that might not be filled, you can always go that route. It's a very open-ended game that you can do nearly anything with. Even if there doesn't seem to be an option, there's always something that can be tweaked or twisted and made to fit to where you feel like you could actually role-play this character in the game.
Usually your own imagination is the limitation.
Exactly. So whenever it comes to, let's say, as a DM, how do you design a world around something? Like, you have... How do you DM?
Well, see, Usually ideas come to me sometimes. Like, I had that one where I was like trying to go to sleep and it just popped in my head. I'm like, ooh, that would be interesting. And then I try to expand out from there. Like, how exactly would it work? What are some of the themes I could add? And then I usually go from there. But then I'm also but we have very different DM styles.
We do.
I have detail to the nth degree. I have everything described. I have everything lifted out. I have a roadmap that I want people to follow. If they don't follow, it's fine. I can usually come up with fairly decent stuff on the fly. But I like mine to be very structured because it helps me because OCD. And then just where to go. To me, it's easier storytelling. And then to help me imagine things, I have to get real detailed with things to where it's impressive.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because I can't.
I take next to no notes, or if I do, then they're bullet points. So what I mean by that is, let's say if I'm DMing a session, and I have a somewhat of an ending in my head, and then I have somewhat of a beginning, and maybe some kind of sparse things that happen in between. But 90% of the campaign I'm making up on the fly, just based around the theme and where those bullet points lie. Because to me, the frustrating part as a DM is whenever you have this brilliant idea of how something should go down, and you can't wait to describe it and like play through it and see it in your head with your players, and then they take a left turn and never come back. That is why I have such a problem whenever I actually like write something major down, like some big instance, and in detail. I'm like, this is amazing. I have a whole script. Like, I have the entire bad guy's memoirs written out, and I'm ready to read them off to the player that finds them, and then they just turn and walk away. It is the most frustrating thing to me.
Like, I'll have lists of like, okay, well, if they ask this question, I give them an answer, they'll roll for this if they do this, and then I'm like, nope, we're not asking any questions, we're not looking at that wall over there, that's cool.
Yeah,
Alright.
It just all turns into I did all of this for nothing and it would have been so cool, and then they come back, let's say the next session, and they're like, oh, hey, look what this is. I'm like, you already went past that point. I can't do it anymore. So when it comes to DMing...
Players kicking salt rings.
Yeah. Or players walking into obvious traps as the other players look on in horror as you as the DM are just batting your fingers like an evil villain. But back to like character creation... as far as like a newbie coming in, you want to get an idea of the theme with your DM, which again, the DM is the key holder to all information. Even if it is a new DM, they're the ones that build this world around you and tell the story that you're walking through. So having that back and forth with them to make sure that you understand and that the character that you're building is viable in that world. So figuring out a backstory is a major first step. Does not have to be super detailed, but giving you something to kind of work backwards off of. Picking your class from that background. There's something that kind of fits into each niche. Going from that into what kind of subclass you would go with. So subclasses, once you pick, let's say, a wizard or a rogue or a fighter, subclasses are kind of specialties inside of those main classes. So if you were to look at, let's say, a book, for instance, just to kind of give it some idea, the volume of the book being your class, the chapters inside are your subclasses. So every little bit is broken down into a little bit more intricate detail and kind of gives you a little bit more of a specific role inside of your class. So whenever it comes to your subclasses, you like your martial classes being like, you like hand-to-hand fighting, weapons, things like that. How do you pick like a subclass with something that seems so basic as far as that goes?
The world usually, or by that point I might already have a backstory. If there's anything in particular I want to focus on, like for your rogues, you have your masterminds, or which they're like they plan. They're the ones who get all the details together. They come up with the plan. You have your scouts. They're the ones that usually go out in front of the party to survey the land, come to report back. You have your assassins, Obviously, they're the killers. And then, so it's like, what do I want to do within that? If I have a party, what position do I want to fill for that? Or just what do I want to do? Do I like being out alone in the woods by myself? I'd probably go scout because I'm used to getting that information. So usually just like what... It's like, so I have my rogue, but then what do I want to do after? Like, what's my specialty, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a specialty within your class. So like, say with me, for instance, when it comes to wizards, my favorite subclass is the School of Necromancy. So with wizards, they all are wizards, but you go to a different school for whatever magic you're working on, or however your backstory teaches you. You have the School of Evocation, which is very much a elemental kind of deal, like fire, ice, lightning, that sort of thing. So whenever you think of your wizard, or you think of a sorcerer or a warlock, what kind of magic or what kind of being do you want to be within that kind of overlapping class? So working backwards, like he said, from your backstory is a huge help, along with finding out what your party's doing, who all's going to be doing what, unless the DM wants you guys to all kind of keep it separate so that he can introduce you all together. Work with your team that you're going to be playing with. Find out who's doing what, and if you're comfortable with filling in slots, or if you really want to be this in that group, it kind of helps with that team chemistry too. Of, okay, let's say with a rogue assassin, and I'm running a wizard necromancer, I'm not going to be all up with you in those assassinations or those unalivings, if you will. So I would be going through, and after you down an enemy, pulling them back up and just essentially building an army behind you, so as soon as something happens, I have zombies. That's the way that I look at it. Or with the School of Evocation, if it's something that you would have to where you can imbue the rogue assassin's weapons with some sort of magic, you can do that. You just have to make sure that you build around how you want to interact with the world. And that's a big thing with it. So whenever it comes to, let's say, your stats, for instance, I know we kind of do things a little bit differently whenever we do our sessions. You have what's called the standard array, which can be found on D&D Beyond's app. It is a set of 6 numbers that are standard across the board, like it says, and everybody has to place those numbers in their stats. So stats being strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. I got all of those?
Wisdom, intelligence, strength. Let's start from the bottom. So strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
Yeah, that's what we did have them. So you would take those 6 numbers, everybody, however many players you have, they would only get those 6 numbers to put them into those slots as they see fit. So whenever you have that style, everybody kind of has an even keel beginning. Depending on how they use it, different classes use different roles for different abilities. Let's say a fighter would use more strength, where a wizard would use more intelligence, or a monk would use wisdom. Every class has its own little specialty inside of that as well, that you as a player want to kind of beef up first, and then be able to work around through that. There's also the rolling method, which usually, actually you explain it better. I think it's how many D6s that you would be able to roll, and then use the numbers that you roll from those.
Yeah, it's your, what's it called? It's called, I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, so it's like 4 or 5, I can't remember, I think it's 5 D6s. You roll those, and then you get your talent. You're able to roll, you're able to re-roll a 1, usually, if your DM allows it, like once. And then that's how you get your total for each category.
So now with the way that I'm thinking, you said 6 D6s?
It's like I've seen it between 4 and I've also seen it 6. So usually, I think it's DM like dependent on whether it's 4 or 6.
So again, DM holds all the cards here, so make sure that you clear most like heavy decisions, like say your stat rolling, with your DM, so that nobody has too much of an advantage or too much of a perk over somebody else. You wouldn't want to be using standard array and then somebody else uses rolls, and then they end up having such a beefy character that you feel like you're not able to really compete or be a part of that.
And then you have the point buy.
There's also the point buy. I've never done the point buy. I really don't understand it that well.
I used it once and I didn't like it.
So I really won't elaborate on it because I am not certain and I don't want to give you guys any kind of disinformation. But we use a different style. What would we call it? The grid
That's
method?
what we always call it. Yeah, we usually call it the grid.
So we would take a sheet of paper and you would basically make a 6x6 grid. 6x6, correct? Mm-hmm. And you would roll your d20 all 36 times. I do it personally. I do typewriter method. So roll, top left, roll, and then in sequence, and then going down from that. And what you would do is once you fill up that grid, you pick whatever numbers that you have rolled. You start with one of them. Let's say it's a 20 and it's in the top left. Circle that 20, and everything in the column to the left and or horizontally and vertically are all now eliminated. So then you'll pick your next one, and everything again in that column and row, vertically and horizontally, are now eliminated. And by the time you get to the end and you get your 6th number that you would be able to use for your stats, all the other ones are cleared. It's a really neat way to go about it because you can have some stats be extremely great, but by the end of it, you might be rolling a -5 on your strength because you only had a 1 left over at the end. So it really just comes down to sheer luck, honestly, and a little bit of know-how whenever it comes to the grid method. That's my personal favorite. It gives everybody kind of a chance to really have a beef character, but you also have that one stat that's going to hold you back, and I like having that weakness in players because it makes them more realistic. So if you have somebody that 20s all across the board, 20 being the strongest that your ability can go, other than having some sort of skill or ability to bring it beyond that, having that, it just doesn't, it's not as fun whenever you can't make a mistake. And those mistakes, whenever you're playing, are some of the best moments because you can fall into a trap that might lead to even better storytelling. It's all about telling an amazing story together with your friends or people that you enjoy this game with. I see you drawing something over there, Justin.
Yes.
You got an art project going on, do we?
I was doing a visual representation. I don't know how well that will pick up, but it kind of like that.
I would say that on camera that'd probably be extremely unable.
Yeah, well, I tried, so I could use different colors and I think about it. But yeah, I think, like I said, because of my one that we have that way, he's good in almost everything, but when it comes to my charisma, I have a -4, so I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to interact with people. Mm-hmm. And that -4, it hurts. Roll for persuasion. That -4, it ain't fun. As I've learned numerous times, trying to romance somebody else, and then, yeah.
So yeah, by the end of it, after all of this falls in line, especially if you're using something like the D&D Beyond app, which is helpful. There are other apps out there. By all means, I use the D&D Beyond app, especially when I'm creating any kind of character. It helps to kind of fill in the numbers for you as you make your selections. A lot of folks still like the pen and paper method, where you would actually fill in each of these stats yourself using the books. But personal preference would be the app, just for the ease of access to the information and making sure it's going where I want it to go. And by the time you get through this, and let's say even with picking your subclasses, depending on which ones you pick, there are deeper levels to it. Let's say with spellcasters, selecting your spells, things of that nature. And as far as that kind of depth, we will be covering in some shorter term videos, covering all the classes. Picking a subclass within those to kind of show you how to build around that. And then if you guys like that, we can kind of take a deep dive into the subclasses for each ones and show you kind of perks that they have, something that's different with it. But like we said before, a lot of it goes through your DM. They are the world storytellers for you. So making sure that you have clear communication with them as to how they want the story to be played out to an extent. But you still should be able to keep some creativity for yourself in and of your backstory and your character, while everybody is still accepting of like that cohesive information. So I think, especially with us as DMs, we're very much, as long as you keep to the theme and you can explain it, then we can rock with it.
As long as it makes sense within the world.
Yeah, that's...
Like if you want to do something and I'm a little like, explain it to me. Tell me how it works, how you envision it.
Mm.
And if you have a compelling enough case, it's fine, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm the author, storyteller, narrator, and architect, but it's my world, but it's as much as your world as mine.
Mm.
Because what you do essentially shapes how my world reacts.
Mm.
So, you don't want to get too crazy. Because some of these characters, some of the decision-making of people, we don't, fair
So
enough.
speaking of which, let's go over some tips for players to their DMs. So let's say like pet peeves as a DM for your players. Things that players do that kind of annoy you as a DM. Do you have anything in mind?
When they think their characters are God.
Hmm.
Like, I'm gonna knock this door down. Are you? Well, we don't know that, so let's see. Like when they try to tell me how my world works.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I'm like, or you got, I've been guilty of it a little bit, rule lawyering.
Yeah.
It's like
picking and choosing.
Well, technically, like, all right, well, I'll do this. Well, can you technically do that? Because, well, I'll do what I want.
Now that also falls with DMs, and it's not easy, because even I've done it before myself. Trying to stay consistent, especially whenever you're new, is extremely difficult. I don't know how, because as you evolve, your world is going to evolve with it, especially if it's your first time. So let's say I write a basic story about going to slay a dragon in a dungeon somewhere, and this might take 4 to 6 weeks of getting together like once, maybe twice a week if you get really lucky with a group. But as you learn more about how to DM, or different strategies, or different ways of telling your story that kind of seem better for you, you're automatically going to try to integrate those into your story. And sometimes, especially in the early days of being able to like find your own style, it will kind of impede on some things that you've already told. Let's say if it's like, oh, I let this player do this by rolling his dice, and I kind of gave it to him as an athletics check. Oh, well, it comes to find out that one's supposed to be acrobatics. Or my big one that I've only just recently learned, as far as perception, investigation, and passive perception, which are all little sub-skills that you would get with your characters. Perception being if you're looking for something generally, like, oh, do I hear anything? Do I see anything in the distance? You're not really looking for a specific thing. It's a generalized term, or at least that's the way that I interpret it. It can be different for everybody. Again, everybody DMs a little bit differently. But whenever you start looking for something specific, can I see a dragon on the top of that mountain? Well, that becomes investigation. You're looking specifically for the signs of that dragon sitting on the mountain. Or whenever it comes to finding clues, I'm looking for blood or footprints or something like that when you're trying to solve a crime, it becomes an investigation check. Whereas perception, in my eyes, is generalized. Like, am I hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, is a very general sense term, when investigation is more direct.
I can see that to some degree. I think there was the one to where, like, can I see the dragon on top of the mountain? I feel like that would be considered a perception. Because it's just... Perception is like, can you see it? Like, if that's distance. But, like, do I see clues of, like, a dragon's nest? I could see that being an investigation.
I think a lot of it falls under the terms of how you say it. So it's, do I see the dragon on top of there? Versus, like, can I? In my eyes are two different things.
I can see that. But, like, I see it as view as, like, well, do I notice anything or do I see anything on the body? Mm-hmm. To me, that would be a perception check. Versus, I'm going to look through his pockets, investigation. So
yeah. So I think that, like I said before, DMs always have a little bit different way of interpreting things. You can, as a DM, especially if you're new, go by the book. Be kind of like tight to it until you understand what to be loosey-goosey with. Personally, I've never actually read all the way through the Dungeon Master's Guide.
I've never read it.
I use it if I'm unsure of something. I use it as a reference, and it can be used that way too. Obviously, I do just fine as far as my groups go. I'm still learning myself and growing, but it's not a you have to get all these books, you have to pay for all this, you have to do all this. It's just as long as you're having fun with your friends, telling this story, the books and the details just kind of give you a skeleton for your body to walk with. It's more of a basis rather than like you have to do it this way. The tough thing though, again, for myself, is just making sure I stay consistent or close to consistent with all of my players. You can't let one have more of an advantage than the other on something that they have the same stat, or if you're just feeling mad that day, you have to be able to keep that consistency going.
Yes, I agree. Where don't let your feelings take over. Like, well, that player annoyed me, so disadvantage.
Right. It's like, you made me mad today, I'm not going to let you win anything. No, armor class is too high. You didn't hit anything. So tell you what, let's take a moment. We're going to shift a little bit towards some fun stuff. We have each picked 3 fictional characters or somewhat fictional characters to assign a class/subclass to that aren't really D&D related originally. So what we're going to be doing, if you wanted to start, and then I'll go, and then you go. We've each picked 3 if you want to do one of these first. We list off who the character is, what class and or subclass they would be, and why. And the other person is going to rebut with why that's either, okay, I can see it, why not, why should it be this other class. And we'll just see what kind of comes of it. So who is your first non-D&D character?
I went the Joker.
Oh, that is a good one.
So I did have an honorable mention. I did say Mastermind Rogue as an honorable mention.
That would be...
But what I ended up going with was Bard College of Whispers. Because the Joker is very like a psychological, and the way I view him is a very psychological, I'm going to get in your head. And that's the College of Whispers. They're all about psychic damage. So at like level 3, he would get words of terror. So talking to someone for 1 minute, you can force them into a frightened or paranoid state, which I feel like something that the Joker would do. You get your spells. So I'm like, obviously, I feel like the spells the Joker would have would be Dissonant Whispers, Vicious Mockery, Cause Fear, Crown of Madness, and Suggestion. Because he has charisma.
Yeah.
So he'd have the manipulation, the deception, and I feel like he would be chaotic evil.
Oh, that's a gimme. Yeah. As far as chaotic evil.
What's your face doing?
I don't know why, but there's something about the Joker, and I'm thinking the animated, like Batman series Joker in my eyes. Which do you have a specific one?
I went Heath Ledger.
Okay, so you're going with Heath Ledger. Looking at that. Being that it's such a realistic character, it gets difficult to kind of put like a magic tone to it. But I always imagine him, even in cartoon form, as sort of even a warlock. Just being one, they're both based off of charisma, which guaranteed he has, 100%. But he's always serving some sort of higher purpose that seems like, even if it's out of his control, that chaotic evil, sure, but there's something that pointed him in that direction. Now, maybe I could be wrong in it. In that context, it should be more realistic, like a bard or a rogue. But whenever I look at it from like a spellcasting point of view, if he did, I feel like he'd be a warlock, even like of the fiend patron. Just like here, you're gonna take this entire city, turn it on its head, and just watch it burn.
See, I just viewed him as he just does whatever he wakes up that day and feels like doing.
See, I don't think he's that impulsive. There's a plan.
There's a plan, yeah. I think, especially with the Heath Ledger one, there's always a plan.
Even though he openly says, like, do I look like a man with a plan? I'm like a dog chasing a car. I can't help myself.
But I think it's very...
I feel like there's something guiding the impulses.
I don't think he would allow that.
Whether he allows it is its own thing. Now, granted, warlocks, in and of themselves in D&D, you literally sign a contract with another deity to give you power, but you do its bidding. But even if he didn't know that he was being puppeted, his antics are very fiend-like.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I still get nothing. The College of Whispers, the Bard.
I mean, that's solid. I'd have to look more into the College of Whispers to really get a good vibe on that, but I can see it to an extent, yeah, because he's not only skilled charismatically, like he can just kind of talk you into doing whatever, but then he's going to hold the blade to your throat and tell you that you're going to do it anyway. And I think that's a major thing of it, is that he can just kind of, well, you don't want to do this, but you're going to do this.
Yeah. Too bad, so sad.
So let me bring up one of mine and let's see how you fare with this one. And I kind of giggled to myself whenever I came up with this one.
This is the one that you told me that I would, because I
think it's going to throw you off.
Okay, because there was one of them that you said, because I was like, what I know, and you said, I think so.
Oh no, I guarantee you know these, but I don't think that you're going to be ready for this kind of a curveball.
I might not.
Mario. Super Mario is a wizard in the School of Evocation. Chaotic good. And he literally uses materials to cast spells in all of the games. He eats a mushroom to use enlarge and grow. Flower, he throws fireballs. He uses a leaf to turn himself into, I forget what the thing is called. It's like the tiny bear, but he can fly. Yeah, Mario is a chaotic good wizard.
That's the thing. It's like, I know who Mario is, obviously.
Like Super Mario from Nintendo?
Yeah, but I don't know enough about him I know who he is. I've never played the games. I played Luigi's Haunted Mansion. I did play that.
There's sometimes.
But like, as far as like, yeah, so like, I don't have a counterpoint because I don't know enough. I know he likes Princess Peach, right? Or that Balthazar, somebody like that.
Did you say Balthazar?
I did. That.
Okay, so the giant Koopa is named Bowser.
Balthazar is Baldur's Gate.
That it is. But Bowser is a giant Koopa that wants to steal Princess Peach.
Jack Black.
Way before Jack Black. Anyway.
Yeah,
I can't believe you don't know who Mario is.
Well, I know who he is. I don't know enough about him. Like, I know it's like, me, Mario.
There's times...
He jumps and he does that.
There's times that you really make me feel super old, and this is one of those instances.
Well...
Because I played it on the original Nintendo.
Me, I'm 56 years old. Damn!
Yeah. Just that little, 8-bit back and forth. Oh my god, you make me so sad sometimes. Wow. Well, so much for that one. Feel free to talk smack to him in the comments for not knowing
or
really
put in the
about
comments
Mario.
if you disagree and you think he'd be another class. Yeah, if any of these, if you feel like there's a character that one of the characters we say would fit a class that we didn't mention, feel free to leave it in the comments.
By all means, we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Tell us why we're wrong or why we didn't think about something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Engagement.
All right, so on to your next choice. Because now I'm just sad.
Sub-Zero.
From Mortal Kombat.
Yes. It depends on which edition. It's worded different depending on what edition you're on. It's either Way of the Four Elements or Warrior of the Elements, depending on what edition you look at. Because basically it's Avatar, but I feel like you would just focus on the ice. Or...
So he's Katara.
Well, or you could be Way of the Ascended Dragon. Subclass.
I don't know that subclass.
Mm-hmm. It's just they're like descendants from a dragon, so they can do like.
Oh, so it's just like the
Dragonborn
kind of deal with the sorcerers,
yeah,
the dragonkin.
Mm-hmm. Monk, obviously, the martial arts.
That's a gimme, yeah.
So elements, they're able to control the elements. So if you just focus on the ice or the cold, with the dragon, you can focus on the ice dragon, so you would get the ice dragon for the cold breath. And I feel like maybe a multi-class into a warlock for him.
Why the warlock?
Because he's like was sent back. Like the whole vengeance thing. I just feel like you could figure that around like the ice. Go with that. And then focus on ice-related spells, because with that you would get like the freezing strikes. I could do ice damage with my punches. With the monk you get the mobility, like deflect attacks, that just goes into martial arts. And then I feel like he'd be lawful neutral. Because like the tribe he's from is like the balance and order and honor and all that.
See, I don't really have a good argument with that guy. I really don't, because it all makes sense. They obviously a monk, hand-to-hand combat, huge. The only thing I could think of was maybe pulling like a sorcerer fighter combo, like a multi-class from sorcerer, being a descendant of the dragon with I think it's white dragons or ice, and then focusing in on maybe kind of like an eldritch knight.
I can see
build with sorcerer.
I felt like the martial arts aspect was. I feel like that's a monk. Like I feel like it's.
It's very. It's hard to make an argument against that, but thinking outside of that box without being able to use monk, how would I try to work that? And I think like an eldritch knight sorcerer combo would probably be the way to go with that.
But like the fire, like he does that because I think there's a spell called Ice Wall, which he does. Like he'll throw up the ice wall, kick you into the ice wall.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
I like the idea.
Or like a monk and pump a few into wizard or sorcerer. Because monks are heavy on wisdom. I don't know if there's any spell classes that focus on wisdom.
Not really. Druids, I believe, are going to be your main ones for that. And they I think they have some builds with elements in it, but the way that when I think of a druid, I'm thinking obviously wild shape and nature magic being more green. But I mean maybe I can see it if you find that combo off of it and do like a monk druid and then use those spell slots as like ice or something to that effect. You could probably work it
with the new 2024 edition. You can convert your wild shapes into spells.
As far as my second character, moving on to Kratos.
I almost went with Kratos.
For God of War's Kratos, I have him as a paladin.
No.
Oath of Vengeance.
I can see it, but no.
With the Oath of Vengeance, chaotic neutral. He, let me see, how did I put this? Spends years willing, like, he kills the gods at the service of either the start of himself, and then he's always jumping from deities to deities, using the powers of the previous ones, or the ones that he's coming. Let's say, whenever he's going against Olympus in, I think it was God of War 3, where he uses the Titans' powers, they're his overlooking deity. Prior to that, it was like Athena and the people that were helping him through to get to where he was going. He's an Oath of Vengeance paladin until he ascended to godhood himself.
The thing I like about it is, obviously, you hear Kratos, because I almost went with Kratos. Mm-hmm. Your first instinct's barbarian.
Yeah, no, that's always the first thought, but he's more in depth than that.
But he goes into these fits of rage, and it's very barbarian.
I mean, if you wanted to really make sure that you cover that side, you could like multi-class.
Because like the rage is like his big thing.
I didn't want to go basic with that though.
Well, that's why I think yours is interesting, because everyone that knows D&D, when you say Kratos, anyone who knows D&D and knows God of War, I feel like it's very Kratos barbarian instantly. As soon as you said it, instantly.
See, I told you.
They agree with me.
No,
barbarian. I was talking about barbarians. Like, come on, thank you, Almighty. Praise be to He. Anyway, but I'd like to. I'm gonna go with yours simply for the fact I like the fact that it's not. It's a curveball. You hear Kratos, you're barbarian, obviously. Path of Juggernaut, maybe Berserker, somewhere around there. But the spin on it's different. That's what I like.
I think that's an interesting thing because you could kind of fit.
I don't like. Sometimes basics are fine, but I like the fact that it's not. You're not going to think Kratos Paladin. You're not going to think that.
Yeah,
because he is holy.
Constantly, anybody who slightly crosses him, Warpath.
Not as much in the newer ones.
I have not played the newer ones, however.
But the newer ones, if you cross the sun, then it's like, all right.
It's like, okay, like my oath has been fulfilled, but now somebody else started some smack and took my kid or whatever it is. Because I honestly, I haven't played any of the new ones. I played 1 through 3, and that was it. But yeah, so it's like anytime he's just on to the next one. On to the next one. And he's constantly chasing somebody who's like, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you.
To. Like in the newer ones, he tried to just settle down, but life dude was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and as soon as something started, Warpath.
Because in they did a DLC for Ragnarok. It got me. It got me a little emotional towards the end.
Really?
Yeah, because if you're going through this gauntlet, he's like realizing... Because it was like they come to you because Freya comes to you.
Yeah.
Because she wants you to sit on the throne with her. And Kratos is like, no, that's not me. But so he's going through that with Tyr. Like he's fighting Tyr at the end. And at the very end, it's him looking at the throne and he's arguing that he's not his past and he's talking to the old Kratos. Like you see him sitting in the chair. And he was talking about like you are beautiful or whatever he says, and it'll get you. No, you're not your past. You were this, but that doesn't mean that's what you have to be. I'm like, oh yes.
To see you sitting in the dark, cross-legged on the couch, controller up like this, just single tear rolling down your face.
Maybe I can't confirm.
So who is your next character?
So, Blade.
Oh.
Blood Hunter.
I don't know the Blood Hunter that well.
Order of the Ghost Slayer. And I did a multi-class into Monk, just 3 levels, to get the Kensei, Monk of the Kensei, because he uses a sword. But yeah, no, I was like, you maybe could have done Fighter. I was like, but I feel like Monk fit better because of the martial arts pedigree that he has. Typically, not always, the Blood Hunter and the Ghost Slayer, they're typically like a part monster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, he's half vampire. But that subclass, the Ghost Slayer stuff, it's all about killing undead. Like, that's their whole thing. I'm like, that's Blade.
That's interesting.
He's on, like, for vampires with Blade, it's on site.
I don't have an argument for that.
And I was like, maybe you could have went Order of the Mutant, because the Blood Hunter Order of the Mutant, they take, like, potions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they get, so you could use that as serum that he injects himself with. But that's more of Geralt from Rivia. It would be more of the mutant.
Yeah, it'd be the Witcher.
But yeah, no. I was like, and then I was like, you could also maybe do a Ranger, Gloomstalker, Rogue Assassin build for him. But I feel like in his alignment, I feel like he'd be neutral.
I don't have a good argument with that one.
I knew on the Blood Hunter I'd get you.
Yeah, because I really don't. I have not played the Blood Hunter yet, and thinking of Blade, the basic answer, either monk or fighter, but trying to steer clear of that, it gets difficult to kind of poke into like vampirism and stuff like that because it's not really a class.
It's a race.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what book you have, it's called the Hampney or whatever. It's like Dhampir.
All Dampier. I don't know. I mean, it sounds solid though. Like it kind of fits all the. Yes.
Thank you very much.
It sounds like a solid argument. I got nothing. So I'm just going to bring up my third, because I don't have anything to go against
Is it
yours.
the one that I know, or did you change it on me?
No, it is the one that we talked about, because we almost picked the same one.
I almost went with Kratos.
Thor. And I did make him a fighter, but Eldritch Knight. Being that he can take his weapon, throw it, and it automatically return back to him, puts him into the Eldritch Knight where he uses the bound weapon. Because then on top of that, with the Eldritch, you have some spell slots, so you can cast a lightning spell. Your hand-to-hand combat is much better than a standard caster. So it really covers those bases for him.
That's a good one. Not what I would go with.
What do you think?
As Paladin, Oath of Glory, because their whole, like, they want glory. Like, that's their whole thing. Is Thor, he's like, I want, like, people to, like...
Which version of Thor? I'm going with, like, MCU.
That's who I'm going with.
You really think he's all about the glory? Or just in the beginning?
In the beginning. I feel like as his art progresses, he's not as concerned with it. But I multi-classed him with Sorcerer, Storm Sorcery, obviously. Because Thunder and Lightning is his whole thing. But with the Paladin, you can get the bound weapon. I can see yours.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he's a very just like, especially in the beginning, it's like, this is what I want. Like, it's very Paladin-y.
To some extent,
like,
yeah.
I'm not going to walk around this rock, I'm going over it.
Maybe he changes from one to the other. Because the way that I see...
He paid the Bone Daddy to respect him.
So I see him, like, growing into the Eldritch Knight side of things just because of the change in perspective and the change of target. Like, it's not his... He doesn't just, I want to be the greatest king, I want to go to the Jotunheim and destroy everything.
I viewed it too initially, especially in the first one. I think it's the first where Odin, like, took away the hammer. Like, they're like, you can't use it. You have to earn it. So I view that as him seeking that glory to regain his hammer.
That's a decent argument for that.
Like, I am worthy.
But then that also could put him as a warlock. Pact of the Blade.
Yeah, because
his power comes from the weapon.
Mount Mjolnir, and then Stormbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see
the only offshoot for that argument being that he doesn't necessarily have to have.
Sorry.
How dare you?
you?
He doesn't necessarily have to have the weapon to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it, like, majorly boosts his abilities if he has, like, a focus. So what is your third and final? Or did you do all yours?
I did all mine.
I did all of mine too.
Yes.
Well, if you have any questions, comments, ideas for other characters, or if you see something different than we do in them, feel free to jump into the comments, let us know your thoughts on those. We might discuss them in the next episode, and just kind of see your argument for that. And then if it's a valid argument, we'll post it onto the video with us. We'll talk about it.
Someone, like, tell him why he's wrong with Mario, because I don't know enough to know if he's right or wrong.
It still bothers me that you don't know, like, anything about Mario.
I know.
Do you know the original game at all?
Were you just, like, walking and jumping over things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the gorilla comes and
2-4 back.
Oh.
That's Donkey Kong.
Okay. I played Donkey Kong on the Super Nintendo.
Which Donkey Kong?
Couldn't tell you. I just know it was called Donkey Kong. And then Frogger was my shit.
You know, there's some shit you do that I'm like, I forget that you're like, you're not even that much younger than I am.
Well,
5-year difference.
5 can make a break.
No.
Depends on what you're talking about.
When it comes to knowing anything about Mario.
80 inches, you know what I mean?
This is a YouTube video.
Yeah. If you cut something 5 inches too short, it's like gonna look weird. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. Bleep that, please.
Yeah, now I have to censor all your shit. I'm just gonna make it beep.
That's fine.
All the way through. It's gonna be like a flat line. Alright, so if you guys have enjoyed anything with this video, or you'd like to know more about us, or anything that we can try to help you guys out with, feel free to like and subscribe the video. We will be back on next time, reading through your comments, seeing anything on the new characters, and we can try to move forward into gathering your party and balancing out your party, I think would be a good idea. As well as the storytelling from the DM, any kind of tips that we can come up with, or even anything that you guys need help with, feel free to mention them down below, and we'll try to touch base on everything and help everybody out. So I have been Eric, this is Justin, and this has been Myth and Method. We'll see you next time.
We only have one question left.
And what would that be?
We do a nerd ship?